Kenya's Gold.
It is a brand new week and we are back at it again, fresher with more energy and a lot of psych to continue doing that thing that we do best every single day of the week, which is educating you about all matters agriculture. Here on the program, every day, Monday to Friday, we show you the best farming practices that can make sure that you are getting optimum production from your farm, yani unapata mazao mazuri, and also we help you learn how you can change agriculture into profits. How can you make money from your greens? That's what we're calling agribusiness, and we educate you on that and more on the program. This week will not be any different. A very good evening, viewers, and thank you so much for joining us from whichever part of the country that you are watching us from. We do have a great show and a great week altogether lined up for you. Once again, a very good evening, viewers. Thank you for joining us. My name is Violetta Ngina. Right now, my fellow host and farmer, Emmanuel Terre, traveled over the weekend, alienda sehemu za Meru, and the reason as to why he traveled to those regions ni kukutana na wakulima ambao are embracing clean, renewable energy. Here we are talking about your biogas, we are talking about solar energy, so look forward to that this week on the show. Now, moving on to the agenda of the day. First, let me start by explaining my outfit. Nimekuja nikikaa kama your favorite mama mboga pale mtaa. Ule mama mwenye anakukata-katianga sukuma yako ya 30, cabbage ya 20, spinach ya 10. There's always that woman on standby. So I hope ukiniona leo unakumbuka huyo mama wako wa mboga. And speaking of mboga, today we will be continuing with our journey series on greens. Sukuma, cabbage, terere, managu, all those greens, we are focusing on them every single Monday on the program. Now the focus today will be on Sukuma Wiki. How important is Sukuma Wiki? First, it's very important to note that Sukuma Wiki is consumed by about 90% of Kenyans. Also, when we are talking about the production of Sukuma Wiki, remember smallholder farmers produce much of the food that is consumed here in Kenya and Africa in general. So when we talk about how much Sukuma Wiki is produced by our small-scale farmers, 70% of the leafy vegetables that is grown by small-scale farmers is Sukuma Wiki. Sasa tukikusanya all our small-scale farmers, tukiangalia ni mboga gani wako nazo, kama ni cabbage, kama ni terere, kama ni managu, kama ni Sukuma Wiki, 70% of the leafy vegetables is Sukuma Wiki. Alafu hapa kwa 30%, we do have the other leafy vegetables which are grown by our farmers. Now that is just simple data to show you how important Sukuma Wiki is to the consumers of Kenya. Now to kickstart the program today, we will be learning from a very young farmer all the way from Kimende in Kiambu County. This farmer is under 30 and he is a thriving vegetable farmer. It might interest you to know there are different varieties of Sukuma Wiki. Kuna zile indigenous and we also have the hybrid ones. This particular farmer who we'll be learning from in our feature, amekwamilia the indigenous ones na anasema there are tons of benefits going the indigenous ways. What benefits am I talking about? You get to find out in our gold feature coming right up. Take a look. Mmenipata katika harakati ya kuvuna sukuma. And I'm very sure in many households this evening the plan is to have kaugali hapo kando na sukuma yako imepikwa vizuri. But have you ever asked yourself, hii sukuma inatoka wapi? Imepandwa kivipi? Ni variety gani? Well, today we want to educate you on that and more. We've come all the way to Kiambu County. Here we are going to meet a farmer who's going to be taking us through the lessons of growing sukuma ama kales ukipenda. Now this particular particular farmer is very particular on growing the indigenous variety. Utakutana na wakulima wengine wanakuambia, me I do grow the hybrid varieties, but this one is stuck on the indigenous ones. What are the benefits of growing the indigenous varieties? For how long will you harvest? Did he try the hybrid ones? Ikakataa kufanya kazi? Well, those answers will be coming through to you in our gold feature starting now. Njoroge.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I'm back to your farm.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
That's how good your farm is. Ukiona nimerudi.
Yeah.
Nataka kusoma tena, si ndio?
Uko karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Na
Yeah.
leo nataka unifundishe mambo ya sukuma.
Okay.
Si ndio?
Yeah.
Part of what you do in your fantastic farm is sukuma farming.
Yes.
When did you set up this sukuma farm?
So, specifically, this block has been here for the last 8 months. I've been harvesting after 2 weeks. Yes, for 8 months.
For 8 months.
Yes.
So tangu upande,
Yeah.
ulianza kuharvest after how long?
2.5, 3 months.
Aha.
Yes.
So after 2.5 months, so una harvest every 2 weeks. Is this for local consumption? Unakula kwa nyumba ama pia unapeleka kwa soko?
Napeleka sokoni.
Aha.
Yeah.
Good. So let's talk about ile variety umepanda hapa. It was very interesting for me to learn wewe uliamua kukwamilia the indigenous varieties.
Yeah.
Na kuna mtu ambaye sahi ako katika ile harakati ya kutafuta the hybrid ones, ndio?
Yeah.
Ningependa sana uniambie, why did you choose to stick to the indigenous ones?
One thing that made me stick to the indigenous Sukuma is that it's resilient to diseases, and it stays for long on the farm. When you maintain it well, you'll harvest it for a longer time than the hybrid ones. Not saying that the hybrid ones are bad, but for me, I chose the kienyeji one. You know, I get the seeds from my farm, and they do well. Yeah.
So had you tried kupanda hiyo hybrid kidogo ndo ukaona ai ni kama sipelekani nazo vizuri sana?
I had tried for a while. Nikaona they hazikai sana kwa shamba. You harvest for like 6 months, the yields start going down. Then you have to plant some new plants. And for the kienyeji, they can even last for more than a year. Yes, when you maintain them well, they'll do well.
They'll serve you for a long time. Sasa
time.
nataka unipeleke tu ile step 1. Si ndio? Nataka kuelewa mbegu ya kienyeji unatoa wapi. You know the hybrid one, you know I have to go to a certified space
Yeah.
na ninunue mbegu yangu. But for the indigenous ones, unapatanga mbegu yako aje?
Now, for the indigenous one, it's very simple because you know kuna ile wakati inafika mimea inatoa maua. Now because they are not hybrid, zinafikanga season zinatoa maua. So unapata zenye zimetoa maua, zinatoa mbegu. So unakata those plants, you dry them. When you dry them, you get the seeds.
Right.
Yes.
So hii yote kuna wakati nitakuja nipate iko na maua.
Yes.
Do we have any that we can see?
We have one here that has started.
At what point do you get the maua? Ni kama bado sukuma inaendelea kumea ama ikishafika mahali haimei tena? Maua inakujia wakati upi?
It's a season.
Okay.
Like kama venye matunda inafika mahali inatoa maua.
Okay.
The same thing happens to sukuma yenye sio hybrid. The hybrid ones don't have this stage.
Flowers. Okay.
They don't have flower.
Okay.
But hizi kienyeji, they do flower.
Okay.
But pia kama uko na mbegu mzuri ya kienyeji, haita flower yote. They'll only flower a few. A few plants.
So what's the joy of a farmer? For them to flower or not to flower?
To flower a few.
To flower a few.
A few.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Because you'll get seeds to plant the next season. Yeah.
All right. So ikiwa flower hivi, at what point will we now get the seeds?
It's not yet ready to produce the seeds, though you can see these two small buds. So with time, it will broaden and the seeds will come into these buds right here.
Hapa.
Yeah.
So seeds zitaingia hapa ndani.
Hapo ndani.
Are they several? Ni kama ngapi?
Yeah, there are several. Like 10.
Or from one pod,
Yes.
you'll utu to pods, utu tote,
Yeah.
you'll get seeds inside.
Yeah.
So utakuja uchune?
No, you'll cut the whole thing from here.
Okay.
You go with it place it somewhere where there is direct sunlight for it to dry. Then when it dries for some time, you'll get the seeds. They'll start coming off the buds naturally. Yeah.
Alafu hizo seeds ndo unachukua?
Unachukua, you store them well. Mahali hakuna maji. Unazistore vizuri, then ukikuwa unatengeneza nursery, then you plant them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you propagate them?
Yeah.
Inachukua muda gani hapo before it's now ready to be transplanted to the farm?
On the nursery, it will depend with how you've prepared your nursery. So it will take almost 2 months. A month and a half, 2 months.
In the nursery?
It takes longer than the ones from the propagator. Like the ones for the broccolis, the cabbages, the one I take to Naivasha, you know, they take 30 days. These ones take 45 to 60 days for the nurseries to be ready. So now from there you transplant to the farm.
Right.
Yeah.
Sasa tukisha transplant hiyo 2 months, tumemaliza.
Yeah.
You've done a good job.
Yeah.
You have your seedlings ready. Tukikuja hapa kwa shamba, spacing inakaaje? Tunachimba shimbo yenye iko how deep? Please take us through the planting process.
So you identify the block you want to plant. You apply manure, then you dig, you flatten the land. Now you have to put the holes.
How deep are the holes?
Not deep, some inches deep. Like let's say 4 inches, around 4 inches deep. Then you'll put now fertilizers, maybe DAP. Or some farmers don't use when they use manure ya ng'ombe, unapata wana avoid kutumia fertilizer za dukani.
What do you use yourself?
I use, it will depend with the season. I might find myself using manure ya ng'ombe, and sometimes I use fertilizer.
Right.
Though I prefer manure ya ng'ombe, it will feed the plant for a longer time.
Right.
Yeah.
Unajua sasa in the market, and I'm now speaking from a consumer's point of view, wamekuwa na ile fear kwa sababu wanasema unachukua mboga, they have been exposed to so much chemicals. Mkulima amespray, ameka chemical fertilizer to a point where what we are consuming has health repercussions in the future. How are you trying to sort that concern in your farm?
Me as a farmer, I have a spraying calendar. Like if I'm harvesting in 2 weeks, I'll spray right after I harvest. After I harvest, I spray. Then they stay for like 2 weeks for the next 10, 14 days. Then I harvest again. So now what I had applied, the chemical, will have already dissolved in the plant.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't harvest today, you can't spray today and you're harvesting tomorrow.
Right. Lakini kuna wakulima ambao ni kama wafuati hiyo masharti.
Kuna wenye wanafanya mambo zao, but because pia mimi nakula hizi, I can do something, I can grow something I can't eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. So let's talk about the husbandry, kuchunga weeds hapa kwa shamba.
Yeah.
At what point do they start, appearing in the farm, and how do you control it? Ndo uhakikishe pia your competition between weeds and the main crop umeshughulikia vizuri.
After planting, you'll take like 3 weeks. You weed for the first time as the crop is growing taller. Then after a month, you may weed again. You'll see how the weeds are growing, and you don't want the weeds competing with the crop you have. So you'll need to take a lot of care to the Sukuma for it for the shamba to be free of weeds. Yeah.
Which method do you use to remove the weeds in your farm?
Manual labor. I don't use chemicals to remove the weeds.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because also you're trying to make sure tunakula vitu ambavyo haviko very much contaminated. Sure. Great. So katika shamba ya sukuma, changamoto ambayo unaweza pitia, let's talk about the pests, diseases ambazo unaweza pata umepitia hapa kwa shamba ya sukuma ni kama gani? Pests ni kama gani? Magonjwa ni kama gani?
Pests sana ni aphids. If you're able to control aphids on a sukuma field, uko mbele. Sometimes it becomes a challenge, but when you know the right chemicals to use, you spray at the right time, you control the weeds. Another challenge, maybe it's the weather. Napata spots sometimes. you spray, but sometimes you don't spray each and every time.
Right.
Yeah.
Tuongelele your aphids because you said it's one of the biggest headache kwa mkulima yoyote wa sukuma.
Yeah.
Aphids, how will I detect them kwa sukuma? If I want to know that my sukuma has been affected by aphids, what will I see?
So most of the time aphids most of the time appear on the back side of the leaf. The leaf. So they usually appear on these scratchings on the leaf. So you'll see white things. When you look closer, you'll see small animal things going around there. That's when you'll detect mumea yako iko na aphids. So with that, you spray the right chemicals to control that.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's talk about weather. Umesema pia weather can be one of the challenges that you face in the farm. Sukuma inataka weather ya aina gani for it to thrive well? Ndo tuelewe ni weather gani inaweza fanya uteseke ukiwa kwa shamba na sukuma.
Okay. Hii mboga ya kienyeji, now this kienyeji sukuma, it isn't affected much, but it reaches a point when the weather goes to the extremes. Unaanza kupata it has spots. Extreme
rain or extreme heat?
Cold and maybe rain.
Kukuwa na baridi sana.
Kukuwa na baridi sana unaweza pata spots. Kukuwa na mvua sana unaweza pata majani ingine imeanza kuwa yellow. When kukuwa na mvua sana unajua shamba inasimamisha sasa maji, kukuwa na maji mingi. Now itaanza kuaffect now the sukuma. Unapata imeanza kuyellow kwingine.
So kama hapa I can see mmoja ambayo iko na patches za yellow ama hii. Huku kulienda aje?
Hapo.
Na pia kuna shimo kama niweza elewa.
Hiyo ni mvua. Hiyo ni mvua imetoboa hiyo shimo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kuna ile mvua inamea iko na tu mawe na tunaita mvua ya mahindi. Hiyo ndio imetoboa hizo mashimo. Then unapata tulime experience wakati kulikuwa na maji mingi, na unapata hizi leaves now they are trying to heal, but muda yake imepita, inafaa ichunwe, iondolewe. Ndio unaona inakauka kwingine because time yake imepita. Then these yellow leaves zilikuwa zinaonyeshana hii area ilikuwa na maji mingi sana imesimama. Yeah, pia when there is a lot of water, fungal diseases thrive. Unapata hiyo ni ugonjwa inaitwa black rot. Ndio unaona kuna hizi two spots, the yellow spots huku mwisho. Yeah.
Right. Na naona like now the leaves that have fallen off.
Yeah.
Do you collect them or you just naturally let them decompose here in the farm?
I let them naturally to decompose. Unajua bado ni mbolea.
Yes. Yeah. Organic manure.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want us to go to the other side of the farm. Mahali ambapo the sukuma zimemachua ziko stage kubwa kabisa. Unisaidie kujua how to harvest correctly. Tuongee mambo mawili matatu and then we'll be good to go. So
right.
Let's go. We are here. Hii sasa ni an older block, si ndio?
Yeah.
They're so grown.
Yeah, they're so grown.
Si ni warefu kunishinda, nikiingia huku ndani hata mtaniona.
Ni warefu kushinda na mbali. And you can see some have already fallen off.
So this is to mean their time is up?
Their time is almost up. When they grow extra tall, they start weakening at the bottom. So they start falling off. And some will start even rotting away. So zikianguka, and then you find the yields are going down. You need to kuzikata zote. Then you plant something else.
Umekuwa na hii block for how long now?
1 year and 1 month.
Right.
Yeah.
Na umekuwa ukiharvest after every 2 months?
2 weeks.
Oh, umekuwa ukiharvest after every 2 weeks?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So now when you remove hii block, because clearly inafika hiyo time.
Yeah.
First of all, before you do, will you try look for seeds kwa hizi ambazo ziko na flowers?
Yeah, that will be a must. Yes, and also another thing about seeds, you don't harvest seeds from all the crops, all the plants. You look at the plants which seem to be stronger.
Yeah. So hata kama iko na flower lakini hiyo crop haikai
haina afya mzuri,
unalenga.
Unalenga.
Right.
Lakini yenye inakaa supreme, you go for that.
But not all of them will give you flowers.
Not all.
Right.
Yeah. But you'll find some farmers complaining that the sukuma zote zili flower.
Shida inaweza kuwa
mbegu. Even ukisikia ni kienyeji, pia bado inalingana na kuna ile kienyeji.
Right.
Kuna wakulima wana mbegu fiti na wengine wana mbegu mbaya.
Kwa hivyo hata kama it's the indigenous ones, there's a good quality indigenous seed.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know some won't even last for long, and then the best ones will stay for even a year and a half. Yeah.
But here you're still harvesting regardless.
Yeah, I'm still harvesting.
Right.
Though the yields have started going down. So kitu ya kureplace iko already on the plan.
Nataka kujua hiyo sasa the replacement period kwa sababu ulituambia ukulima unafaa kwa a step ahead.
Yeah, you need to
sasa tukitoa hii, what do you plan on crop rotating this farm with?
I'm planning on crop rotating it with dania. That's what I have in mind. Yeah.
So utaenda utafute mbegu?
Tafute mbegu, nikuje nitengeneze shamba, nimwage mbolea, kozi ni heavy feeder, nimwage mbolea, nipande dania zangu.
Right.
Yeah.
For someone who wants to get into agriculture, anataka kuingia kwa hii bees, would you recommend them to go the Sukuma way? Unaweza mwambia afanye nini ndio hakikishe hata kwa hiyo Sukuma anaifanya vizuri na anapata mapato mazuri?
For someone who is new to agriculture, I'll tell them to go to the crop they are comfortable in, and a crop that is easy to maintain. So with that you learn. Then with time you get to go to other crops.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say Sukuma is iko na kazi mingi? Unajua kuna wale crops unaambiwa huyu lazima ukae naye bumper to bumper. Wengine minimal care here and there, they'll be fine. What is your take on Sukuma? From your experience.
Sukuma haina kazi mingi. You only need to understand it. When you understand the crop, when it needs ufanye weeding, kama iko na magonjwa, you are there for it. Mnapelekana vizuri sana.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it ever lose its viability in the market, given that tunakulanga Sukuma karibu kila saa na ugali?
Yeah, market prices. Yeah, there's a time they'll go high, there's a time they'll go low.
A good period ni kama iko how much? Bunch moja?
We deal with a bunch, maybe when it's 20-25 shillings.
Na kukiwa kubaya mnapatanga na ngapi?
Hata wakupea unakosa.
Hata wakupea unakosa.
Yeah.
Zinaozea kwa shamba?
Not really, si unapea ng'ombe. Though I also told you, if uko na good produce, hazitaikosa soko.
Right.
Yeah.
Good produce ni ile umepeleka Sukuma, haina mashimo, haina yellow, iko healthy, inakaa vizuri kabisa.
It's attractive to your eyes. Ukiona, unatamani tu kuikula.
Right. Yeah. So the same way marketing, do brokers come here for the Sukuma ama hiyo unapeleka?
Yeah. All my produce, the brokers come for them here. Yeah.
Wanapiga simu wanakuja hapa.
Wanakuja tu hapa.
Do they harvest for themselves?
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Yeah. Mimi kazi yangu ni kuchukua pesa.
Penny Bossy,
yeah.
Thank you so very much Njoroge again for teaching us about Sukuma. Na uendelee na hiyo kazi nzuri unafanya.
Okay, I appreciate.
Thank you. Again, another fantastic feature here in Kiambu. Tukijifundisha about Sukuma, kitu ambacho kinakuliwa katika almost every household in the country and beyond. Thanks to farmers like Njoroge, we are able to have Sukuma in our plate, in our homes. In case you are wondering, what is the deal with the indigenous varieties? Can they grow well? How do I need to maintain them? Yes, you've learned about that in this feature, but you know us, you know how we do. Lazima pia tutawaletea feature yenye inawafundisha mengi about the hybrid varieties. We'll be able to compare, and with the guidance of our experts, we'll give you more knowledge on which direction you need to take. Thank you so much for joining us and watching our feature, but keep it Kenya's Gold. Bado mambo ni mengi.
Kenya's Gold.
A great feature there from Njoroge. Remember, I told you he is under 30 and thriving as a vegetable farmer. So any young person who's watching us right now na anasema hakuna employment, hakuna kazi, rudi pale nyumbani kwa ile shamba ya wazazi ambao wameachana tu nayo iko idle, get into farming and you'll be able to speak proudly as the farmer that we have just watched. Now remember, the focus is on Sukuma Wiki farming in Kenya, and this particular crop does have a lot of economic benefits to our farmers. One of them being the fact that it has a relatively short growing cycle, making sure that farmers are able to harvest many times in a year, maximizing on profits as well. Now, at this particular moment, I want us to have a look at the area of land in Kenya that is under Sukuma Wiki farming over the last recent years. And we will be doing a comparison between the years of 2020 and 2023. So when we're talking about 2020, how much land was under Sukuma Wiki farming? It was 37,871 hectares. In 2021, there was a slight increase to 38,037 hectares. In 2022, also we noted a slight increase to 38,586 hectares. And in 2023, the area of land under Sukuma Wiki in Kenya increased, a notable increase here, to 44,511 hectares from 38,586. Now, this data has been verified by the Alpha Yearbook of Statistics, year 2024. Next week on the program, we will be looking at what the production has been like over the years. Sai tumeangalia tu size ya land yenye iko under Sukuma, so make sure next week on Monday uko bado hapa na sisi so that we can show you what is the production of Sukuma Wiki right here in Kenya. Now with that, it's time for us to take our first short commercial break, but not before we tease our farm joke question of the day. And today we are asking you, leo ni mambo ya tech, wakulima wangu pia mambo ya tech wako. And the question is, what's an astronaut's favorite part of a computer? Think of an astronaut. What do they do? Where do they go? Tell me what their favorite part of a computer is. Start sending in your answers and any questions that you do have regarding Sukuma Wiki farming in Kenya across all our social media platforms. On Instagram, we are at Kenya's Gold. Our SMS line is 22422. And also you can find us at X at Citizen TV Kenya. We will be sampling your feedback and also any questions that you do have when we come back from this break.